Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've kind of a shoot from the hip type of video, something I've been thinking about quite a bit today, the filming of this video, and that is how important slapback delay is to John Mayer's tone. Now, when we think of John Mayer tone, we think of the high headroom amps, the Dumbles, the Two Rocks, the Vibreverb, all the pedals, the Klon, the Keeley Katana, the TS10, and all the other effects that he uses. But we do know that John has gone on record to say that the Way Huge Aqua Puss has been kind of one of those really important effects for his tone, but it's something so subtle that if you're not really listening for it, you might not be able to pick up on it. And for the longest time, I just haven't incorporated it into my rig. Now, granted, I'm running a Fractal FM9 Turbo, so it's a digital emulation of all this stuff. But way back in the day, I had the Way Huge Aqua Puss. I think it was the Mark II. And I tried dialing into John's settings and kind of kept it on all the time. And didn't really understand why. It did have a little bit of a certain tone to it, but now I listen back to all these recordings that John has done, like live performances and stuff, and I can really hear it. And kind of the magic behind a slapback delay that I hear, especially an analog circuit one like the Way Huge Aqua Puss or a Carbon Copy, or maybe the Boss DM2 or whatever that one is, the analog delay one, they provide almost a little bit of grit to your sound and a little bit of saturation and a little bit of sustain even. And I think that goes with the type of chip that's used in there, and also putting it before your amp. That's really important. You kind of get that saturation, that little bit of grit and drive. And especially with some drive pedals on and a clean amp, it's gonna sound really good. Now, this whole video is inspired by a recording of, I think it was Eric Clapton's 70th birthday party. And this was back in 2015 or something. This was right before John probably joined PRS with the Super Eagle, and he was testing out some different models, and he was using that PRS NF3, I think that's what it's called, and it's got beautiful tone to it. But the very beginning of this clip, which I'll show you in a second, he just kind of rakes the strings as John does, just to make sure his tone is there. And at first you don't really hear much, and then suddenly you hear a little slap back, and you really hear how much it is. It's like between, I don't know, 80 to almost 100 milliseconds. Subtle, but it's there. And then later on, during his solo, you can really hear it during these double stops. You hear that analog type of drive going on, and then you hear these upper harmonics, and I know they're coming from his amp and his pedals, like his drive pedals going together, but the slapback delay does something really special. It adds some really nice upper harmonics, and hopefully that came through in my interpretation of that solo as well. But I'm going to show you this clip. I'm going to show two parts of it. We're going to take a look at the very beginning when he rakes the strings, and then we're going to listen to the solo that he does. And what I want you to try to take a listen to is these double stops. So he's kind of doing this, it's almost like a pre-bend type thing. So it's going to sound kind of like this. Let me turn my effects on. So, but he's going to do a pre-bend, so something like this. Something like that, but you can really hear the repeat. It's just one repeat, but it sounds really cool. So here's that clip. Okay, so after hearing that clip, hopefully your ear is kind of a little bit more in tune with what's going on there. Now, I think the use of a slapback delay in front of your amp, it adds a little bit more dimension to your sound. I'll show you what that means in a second with what I got set up here, but I think it gives it a little bit more fatness. It allows, once again, for maybe some upper harmonics to happen, some more sustain. But overall, it's just a more 3D type of sound to me. Also, I think it also takes a little bit of the high-end edge off. In a way, it just smoothens things up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play just a little bit of that solo, one with the effect and then without the effect. And I just want you to see, I'm going to go to FM9 edit right here. This is my fractal rig, just to want to show you how much of a difference it plays in the overall tone. So here's with it on. This is they call it the graphite copy delay, and that's just basically a carbon copy delay. And we know that John's been known to use this every once in a while. But so here's the tone that I have. Okay, let's go through the solo, and we're just gonna play little snippets of it. All right, second time through, I'm gonna disengage that delay and kind of, here's the tone that we got. One more time with it. So you really hear that that repeat. It's pretty prominent in the mix. But here is that solo without it. Now it sounds great. The reverb really helps, but there's just something about having that delay in there. Going to engage it again, and it just helps the notes to carry into each other. I guess a little bit smoother transition between notes, fatter. Like once again, like. Like right there, when you hear that bend and you hear the little bit of drive that's happening just from the delay itself. Now there's a couple other ones, other examples, and I'll put a little snippet at the end of this video. Another one is What Kind of Woman Is This? And that is back in 2005 or 2006 when John performed with Buddy Guy's band, and he got to play on this. And another example where you can really hear the repeats. Now, some of us like to think that the Way Huge Aqua Puss is always on type of pedal. I don't think that is true. I think it's used in certain cases where maybe he needs to fill a little bit more sound, or maybe it's just personal preference when the room feels a little bit more dead and he wants to have a little bit more of that ambience factor, a little bit more of that width and fatness to sound. But take a listen to this clip and then we'll just end it right there. But just kind of goes to show you the different types of situations where John might use a slapback delay, and I think it's really important to his sound. Now I'm gonna make sure that it stays as a part of my John Mayer kind of rig in my fractal unit. So here's that clip, and we'll let that take you out, and we'll see you next time. Bye.